Hello Paper Rose friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper, and I have a set of cards for you today using the absolutely gorgeous Blossom Outline die from Paper Rose Studio. I've shown you most of the cards at the start, but there's a surprise bonus card at the end as well. This die has two different flowers, each with their own background die. And there are lots of different ways that you can layer these up to get different looks, and I've tried to show a few of those in this video today. I'm going to cut them out from a range of cardstocks, including one of my favourite ways, which is to make my own watercoloured cardstock and then cut the flowers out from that. Bunch of different pieces, and now I'm playing jigsaws and experimenting with different colour combinations to see what I like. There are lots of different ways to layer these up. The first way I'm going to show you is a way to have just the flower with no background and no border. Out of black card, I've cut both the image and the border in one so that I have an internal cutout that I can trace around to know the exact size of my flowers. I'm using a double-sided adhesive sheet. This particular one has one side of the release paper that you can draw on very easily, and that's why I've chosen this one. I'm going to cut just inside the line I've drawn so that it is very, very slightly smaller than the flower. But I still want to stick to those fine gold edges, so I'm cutting it just a whisker inside. Once I've removed one side of the release paper, I'm going to carefully pick up the whole flower as much as I can and stick it down, and then fill any remaining jigsaw puzzle pieces onto that. Several of the cards in today's video use the Lots of Rectangles die. I've cut this once from gold cardstock. You can see that it's an incredibly detailed die, and so I've used a metal shim in my cutting machine just to make sure that I get a good cut right to the middle, and you can see that it's done the job beautifully. For the next card, I'm going to use the same watercolour card for my sentiment, and so I'm adding a few strips of double-sided tape to the back before I cut out the word sending, which is another Paper Rose die, from the front of this. Once I worked out the arrangement for this next card, everything was glued in place, using as little glue as I could get away with so that it wouldn't squish out the sides of these beautiful thin lines. For the next card, I've used the Dip Dye Basics paper pack, and I've once again traced the inner line of each flower onto some double-sided tape and constructed these flowers the same way as I did for the first card. The next 2 cards after this will show 2 different ways of putting the pieces together. For this next card, we're going to use the flower outline and the background die, and I'm just going to glue those together before attaching them to the card. Using a small weight, like a stamping block, will help everything to stay flat. Next, I'm going to spatter up my background. Had I remembered that this is what I was going to do, and not already stuck the craft panel down to my card, it wouldn't need this great array of papers which are masking off the paper behind. It looks like a complicated process. It really should just be a piece of paper and some spatter. I'm using white gouache, which I've watered down a little. Finally, the bonus card, and you're in for a little bit of a colour shock. This way of constructing the flowers requires no fussy cutting at all, so you can put your scissors away and relax. Once again, I'm using double-sided adhesive sheets. I'm going to cut a background, the pieces that I want from the flowers, and then one extra piece, which is the border. And I make this by putting together the 2 different parts and cutting them out so that I get the outsides. Altogether, I've got enough pieces here to make several cards by mix and matching the colours, but I'm just going to show you one today. I've peeled 1 layer of release paper off my base layer, and now I'm going to add the different elements to that until everything is filled in. As much as I can, I'm keeping the different parts inside the die so that I know that they'll all line up beautifully when I stick them down. Card fronts, papers, these Slimline strips, and everything that I've used to make these cards will be linked in the boxes below so that you can follow down and find anything that I've neglected to mention. Thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to sharing more cards with you soon. Bye for now.